Oh, cool. Excellent. All right. Tēnā koutou katoa. So kia ora everyone, and welcome to the Waimāero Fendalton-Waimairi-Harewood Community Board for the Community Board meeting for Monday, the 11th of March, officially opening at 4:32 p.m. So to begin, we're going to start with a karakia, and we welcome everyone to stand and to join us, and we will hopefully, oh yes, we've got the words on the screen there. Whakataka te hau te uru, whakataka te hau ki tonga, kia mā kina kina ki uta, kia mā tara tara ki whai, e ake ana te ata kura, he tihu, he huka, he haupunga, ki hei mai ora. Everyone. So to begin with item 1, apologies. We don't have any, but we do just want to recognise that both Linda and Aaron are joining us on Zoom. So they are live. And also, just while I'm at it, these are all live streamed and also recorded too. So moving on to item 2, declarations of interest. So just asking around the table if there are any or online. Haven't received any, which brings us to item 3, confirmation of the previous minutes. From Thank you, David. Anyone to second? We'll do Nicola. Wait, yes, Nicola, were you at the meeting? Yes, you were. Sorry. Yes, yes, you were. No, that's all good. Excellent. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Any against? No, carried, which takes us to item 4 for public forum. So we have 2 public forums today. First up, we have Charlotte Gavin here. Kia ora, Charlotte. So it's good to see you again. And just similar to last time with public forum, we're not in a position to make any decisions around the table, but you've got 5 minutes and that includes questions, and we'd love to have an update on what's been going on.
Right. Looks like we got some media attention last time, which was interesting. So good to see a push in the right direction. Aidan, do you have the photographs that I sent through?
Yep, just give me a sec.
I have sent through a report, and I don't anticipate to go through that word by word, but just briefly. So we had a burnout incident in one of our roads in Belfast, and last Saturday night. So that's the street, what it usually looks like, and that's what happened on Saturday night and the resulting damage to the street. I'm now starting to call this street graffiti because it's very difficult to get rid of. And I approached a real estate agent, Mark O'Loughlin from Harcourt Strohan. He's been you know him, been a real estate agent since 1997, and he reiterated that it demonstrates an unruly behaviour in the district and has a very real and direct impact on property values, can affect homes' sale price for up to 5 to 10% less, which in this case will be about $30,000 to $50,000 per household is the cost. So we had a very brave resident report it. It was reported to the police, and the police are acting appropriately and swiftly. So that was very good to see. In relation to speeding, with the support of the Christchurch City Council traffic officer, we've got, they call them tubes, speed tubes, and 3 of the roads that we identified as potential problems. And the residents are reporting that speeds being reduced as a result of just having the tubes up. So that wasn't quite the effect we wanted. We wanted to identify if there was a problem, but hey, the residents are pretty happy. So we might just get some tubes and put them up permanently, some fake ones. Might work. Howdy ho, back to burnouts, and we've had a meeting with Andrew Hensley, the Christchurch City Council traffic controller. We discussed the anti-skid surface, but that's, he said it's had limited success. It's actually, they burn it off faster. So it becomes a bit more of an attraction. So that's a no. Median strips and narrowing road entrances on the Belfast Road and Blake Road wide corner, that would just be unlikely because it's still so wide anyway. They just spin out one side, so that won't work. The cameras with the vehicle plate recognition capability seems to be our most logical solution. And I met with Police Sergeant Luke, who supports the privately funded security camera installation, providing the police monitoring. So I'm drawing up an agreement for that to happen now. And we don't expect the police to be on site. We just want them to register the time the complaint's recorded and go and look back at the video, and we get number plate recognition and they can make their convictions accordingly. So pretty no-brainer. Since this, just today, I came across a company called ATF who do temporary instalments of cameras, and they on a lot of construction sites, and they're solar powered. Now they've agreed to lease us one of their cameras for some particular sites that we want to target. So we're going to trial that for a few months, and it's very reasonable, 1,500 per month, not from the council, of course, privately funded, but we're going to be investigating that. We can report back on that success as well. The other beauty is he's quite happy, he understands that they'll be likely to be targeted, but he's still quite comfortable. They're fully insured. He said they're very robust units, and we're going to move them around. So as soon as an area goes quiet, and we start to see activity elsewhere, we just chuck it on a trailer and chuck it on the next site. So we'll be seeing what we can do to tidy it all up. I have also, and slightly on the side, investigating drone quality stuff, but that's a whole nother beast. We've got a Belfast Safety Initiative Facebook page we would like to create. It's basically getting the Belfast NZ community page, the traffic that talks about safety and security, putting it onto a different platform where it's more appropriate for police and the Christchurch North Community Patrol to communicate with people on that issue. We're finding a lot of resistance from residents who want to see positive stuff about Belfast, and there's a lot of it. It's actually a really brilliant area to be in. So we just thought that would be a good initiative. And I'm currently just progressing that with the Belfast Community Network to see if they've got an appetite for that. However, if not, I would like to just create an open mind for perhaps the council helping us facilitate just the commencement of that page. I'm not anticipating it'll be a lot of work either. The next thing was just the burnout facility. I've been in all the research I've done so far, I get a lot of generalizations about it's very popular in the North Island, or, you know, we've done that before and that's failed, and all these sorts of things. They're lawless, and even the police are very interested in seeing, actually getting the facts, engaging through a questionnaire about what sort of audience we've got, and if there's some sort of compromise that can be made, almost like a bit of a pressure valve on this brewing issue, which has been here for decades now, which we've all tried. But we'll just, that's why I was just working with a member of the automotive community who is helping me with his other friends to develop the questionnaire to make sure it's got maximum impact and gets to the target audience. So that was the last thing I just wanted to finish with the survey, was if there would be an opportunity for the council to provide some suggestions on how I get the survey launched. Is there a platform you've used before? That sort of thing. So if you wouldn't mind just giving me some context, I really appreciate that, just to get that underway. Yeah, and that's me.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Thank you, Charlotte. Do we have any questions around the table? Yeah. Well, before you go, yes, we can definitely get you connected to a relevant person to assist with that survey. We actually have some staff who specifically help with that sort of thing, and loop you up with the appropriate people. I guess one comment just to make is from the past, when there have been Facebook groups that talk about crime or issues relating to crime, it's just important to communicate that residents still feed that back into the police system. Yes. Because it's otherwise, if the police don't have a record, then that information can't be collated. So it's just about making sure that it's a forum of education and engagement, but it's still getting, you know.
And what I've found, just communicating with the odd person, they don't know what to do with this information.
Right.
And they're like, well, what happens with it after that? So I'm just giving them the process and.
Fantastic.
So
Yeah, thank you for all your help. It sounds like it's really well.
Thank you very much for everything.
Thanks, Charlotte. Right, moving on to our next public forum, Bruce Rogerson. Kia ora, Bruce. So, oh, sorry, we've got someone else with you.
Yes, I'm going to give out some visual aids.
Oh, great, thank you. So, similar to before, public forum, we're not in a position to make any decisions.
I appreciate it.
But you've got 5 minutes, and that also includes questions as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm here with some of my neighbours. I live in Chislehurst Place. We have been campaigning for many, many years to get rid of trees in our street because of the problems I'm just about to talk about. We have been treated with contempt by the council staff over many years, and I've provided correspondence about that. The several trees, 4 in particular, are exotics. They drop branches and they continually crack up footpaths and break up retaining walls and have destroyed the gutter in one part of the street, as you'll see from the photographs there. I understand from Aidan Kimberley that there's a plan in the next financial year for a full renewal of the infrastructure, and apparently the team are assessing the scope of works, and that possibly may involve removal of the trees. We won't accept anything less. The footpaths are so destroyed at the moment that it's a serious health and safety issue. Many people have tripped on them. I've seen kids come off their scooters. It's just beyond a joke. The street surface where the gutter is broken, floods in rain events and doesn't drain. Other neighbours on the other side of the street, the water ponds, and in summer, insects breed. And this is an appalling situation. As I say, I would like to ask the community board to record our objections and have a look at the photographs and visit the street if you feel so inclined. And I would also like you to consider asking the staff to make sure that 4 trees in particular that are causing the most damage are removed. None of us want the trees there. They are not trees of any merit, I'd suggest. As I say, they drop branches reasonably frequently. There's a photograph of 2 branches that came down last week, which are, as you'd appreciate, falling trees are a hazard as well. We're at our wits' end. We've campaigned for this for years and got absolutely nowhere. And it's just gotten beyond a joke. Any questions you've got?
Yeah, no, thank you, Bruce, for coming along today, and to the other residents who've been impacted. I think the visuals speak for itself. We've got a bit of time for questions. Is there anyone around the table? Yeah.
There's been a number of suggestions from council staff over the years. Chislehurst Place is quite a narrow street, and frequently if someone's parked on one side, you have to wait for a car to go through before you can go through. At one stage, they suggested, for example, narrowing the street even further, and that it occurs to me that emergency services vehicles wouldn't be able to get through. One, excuse the expression, idiot suggested that it wasn't that the trees had grown up, it was the footpath and road that had sunk. Give me strength. As I say, this is an appalling situation that's damaging our properties. It's damaging our property values. I see it a possibility of a compromise. I'm not suggesting that someone is immediately dispatched to dig up and try and make the footpaths better now. I think we can do that until that the full infrastructure redo is done. Perhaps improvement, an immediate improvement might be to paint them with high visibility paint. So they've just gotten from bad to worse.
Yeah. I was just asking Aidan here around whether the scope of works wouldn't actually involve having staff talk to residents such as yourselves that want to
It'd be nice. No one's ever done that before.
Yeah, so that's something that we could see around whether the scope of works can include that.
Yes.
So it can capture your concerns. Because as you mentioned, there are 4 trees in particular that are of nuisance. So yeah, we can see around whether staff can do that and maybe have you and the residents involved to be kept in the loop around when that all happens.
That would be nice. Despite our many representations, we've never been consulted before.
Right.
May I address?
Yes.
John Hamilton, number 4, Chislehurst Place. Endorse what Bruce has been saying. My wife and I, we've lived there for 10 years. We've had numerous conversations with tree people and infrastructure people. Infrastructure people for years have been saying the trees have got to go.
Right.
There's this complete dichotomy amongst the council, and whilst Bruce has adequately described the surface interruptions to trees, it's actually damaging council infrastructure, stormwater, sewer laterals, mains. They are. Whilst I love trees, great, but they are completely destructive.
Yeah,
they're huge, getting bigger. Yeah, it's just
it's been a complete stalemate. The roading and footpath people say, oh, we can't do anything until the trees are gone.
right.
The tree people are saying we're not going to remove the trees.
Yeah.
Absolute stalemate. And it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I saw Sam, did you?
Yeah, just it's a shame it sort of gets to this point. But it's good to see we've got something on budget for next year for it. I just wondered, we had this situation in Rundlegate out in my patch in Avonhead, and one of the things we did was, and it sped it up a bit, until the trees were poisoned, but it was all going well until they got poisoned. We had like a planting plan for the street. So I guess, sorry, it's a long-winded way of saying, if we were to remove all the stuff that's damaging, what we're finding around the city is that the trees that have been put in are not the fit for purpose ones.
Correct.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, are you open to replacement trees going in, provided they're fit for purpose in that street?
I think we are.
Yes.
Now, just to give you an example, I own a property in a body corporate in Sockburn. Okay, the planting plan was done by the property developer when the complex was built,
Yes.
and they put in exotics which will grow to 10 metres if unchecked. Well, we're going to rip those out, and we're going to put in natives that will grow to a maximum of 3 metres.
Yeah, makes sense. So you're open to working with the team to get, because they actually, they add amenity and value to the street. So
absolutely,
okay.
that would be a practical solution.
Yeah.
So I can't see the point of any of quite frankly wasting money at the moment to redo the footpaths. Only to and unless the trees are removed, this situation will recur time and time again. There's been many repairs to the footpaths over the years, and they've all been a waste of money.
I wonder if we need to add like an action or something just to monitor it until the beginning of the financial year, and then we can get a timeline on it for the team.
Yeah.
So that we can.
Yeah.
It would just be good, given the issues that they've clearly raised, that we get some visibility of it.
And also finding who is the point of contact from staff, so there isn't this clash of information and you've got someone you can go to directly.
Absolutely.
I see someone's hand is
I
up.
just want to make the comment in regards to the planting. I think that's an excellent idea. The thing is, these trees are not little cherry blossoms, they're liquid ambers, and they belong in the park. And the tree people had to see on occasion, they're really park trees. This is a little narrow cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
It's totally inappropriate planting, and it's causing so much damage.
Yeah.
I can't even cross the road. The rain we had last night. Now I've got outside my place a whole gutter full of water.
And we build a bridge. When you park the car, we have to build a bridge to get from the road to the footpath for people to visit it. We have to have plants across so people can get onto the footpath.
Yeah.
That's a bridge.
No, thank you so much all for coming in today, raising these concerns. We've captured them. From here, we'll get some information from staff, just to feedback around finding the person who can liaise.
No, you take it.
Oh, do you need to?
We need one staff.
Yeah.
Staff.
What?
Needed one staff.
Oh, do we need one to start?
I'll go on to the.
Oh, you don't. Okay, thank you so much, Bruce, and to all the residents for coming in today. So you'll be kept in the loop around how progress of this goes.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
All right, so that takes us to item 5 for deputations by appointment, and we have Bruce Irvine, who's going to be presenting.
My plan was to talk after. If you can pull up the PowerPoint. Bruces and trees seems a common thing.
Yeah. Bruces and trees, that's right.
Okay, I've started my clock, so I'm going to keep to schedule.
Thank you.
That's a very hopefully reminder of what I did previously last July. So start clicking through and we'll just keep going. And so I presented in July last year. We have already come up with a landscape plan. We looked at this park as it is now, and I'm so appreciative of the council's staff. My two friends over there, thank you, because of their engagement. So I'm on the other end of the scale from your previous presenter. So I'm just stoked that when I came here, I had no backing. All of a sudden, a wonderful project has been created. It's progressed faster than I think any of us thought. So I wanted to come back and report to you on where I'm feeling and ask you where to from here as a result. So if you click one more, that's the future plan. And I'm totally supportive of the future plan. I think it's an excellent change and use of what the park could be. And if this goes ahead, and I hope you support Toby's plan for this, my job's done. I can stop. Yay. Great. However, now go again. What is the future? Well, to get to this point, there was a concept plan done. Some ideas came out of a design that I presented. I talked with some wonderful council staff and convinced them that we needed to do some communication and planning. And I invested a bit of time of mine and my organisation. That's why I'm in my uniform today, because my organisation wants to invest time with you and the council staff about changing mindsets and planting. So I got an opportunity to talk with forestry people. I got an opportunity to talk with members of my community. They provided feedback and it was challenging. Some of the feedback was directly challenging to myself, and I go, that's fantastic. I appreciate being challenged because my idea is not the greatest. And my idea has not been totally adopted. I was looking for 3.5 hectares of native forest, and the proposal was something about 2 and a bit. He'll tell you about that later. So from that perspective, I'm totally into what works for the community and the feedback from the community. And so we ran an event that got more community involvement and more community feedback as part of this process. And up in the top right-hand corner, there was a little thing I presented last time, and we're round about heading towards the community board go, no go on what the future might be. So that was me presenting a plan of action. So if we now go on to the next one. Why do I, as a firefighter sitting before you, am so interested in this education opportunity that I see as part of this park development? Every red dot is a fire over the last 10 years on council land, council facilities, council parks, council reserves. So that's why I'm here today in my uniform going, we need to change this trend. And how do we do that? And we do that through education, educating the public and educating the designers and educating the planters on how to do things in a smart and efficient way, so we don't end up with Port Hills or this plethora of incidents that we have to attend as an organisation. That little highlighted section is the reserve on there. I just highlighted that, showing the cluster that we have there. And what you could do as leaders is give the council a directive and say, we need to be smarter about how we plant plants. We want native plants, but how do we want these plants to service our people in our parks? So that's something that could happen, but that was an eye-opening picture to myself when I got one of my staff to prepare some information for this. Yep, next one. So, future activities. I'm totally supportive of the planting plan that you're going to get presented to you. As I say, if you adopt that, and I think you should, I believe the community will really appreciate what will be there in the long term. Yep. Okay, so future of Nepal. I've given you some photos of Nepal Reserve and what it actually looks like, because it's very easy to look down on something, but actually you get a better appreciation when you're looking at it. And these are some of the open spaces that are important to people as the part of the feedback. And yet on the top right is me walking through Styx. Yeah, a couple of clicks, I think, Aidan. That would be great. Styx River, 12-year-old native forest. And the difference between Nepal Reserve and Styx River Native Forest is the soil condition. So one of the things that the planting team, if they get the go-ahead, will have to look at the soil conditions because they're totally different. So Nepal Reserve will need some support, but that's the planting guys. But the fact is, I walked through that park and I was pointing out to them, this is dangerous, really good, this is not really good. And yet we would go into a little grove and what do I get? Fantails flying around me. And I go, this is just so cool. So it's about the end result. And that was within 12 years of planting. So there can be a significant impact, even in the short term, if the environment is prepared well. Yep. So some of the other feedback. So if you want me to do anything more, I'm looking for your direction as a community board. Multi-sport area could be identified. I talked about it as a concept. There's an age group gap that's missing within activities within the park. Some people are for it. Some people will be against it. Some people are for it because it gives activities. Some people are against it because, it brings this unruly thing, But hey, if they've got a place to play, then maybe they're not ripping up streets with cars and doing various other things. You're going to get wins and losses. What's the overall benefit? This play area could be integral to the other activities within that, and it could be identified and has been identified within the planting plan. Yep, next one. The key thing is the children's playground, 0 to 5. It's about it being viewable from the street. People want it to be viewable from the street, but it also needs smart plantings around it. There's lots of grasses. So I personally want to get rid of the grasses and put in smart plants because that's where people will be. But you also want shading. So again, the plan addresses some of these concerns made by the consultation that we had. Yep, next one. Existing maintenance and upgrades identified. We've got on the far right the 5 to 8 year old playground. It's a great playground. It was a shit. People go, there was a broken limb or a broken element to it. It was a shaft that went out like a plank. Yeah, it's been nicely cut off, and I go, it's a fantastic playground. Why would you want to pull that out? It's adventure. It's cool. It's cool. The children's track needs some maintenance, but yet when I went up and I had a look at the long grass, I go, yeah, long grass, horrible, don't like it. But someone's well managing it. But is that the future of what you want or the community wants? How do they want that managed? To me, it's a little bit of a fire risk if I look at it. And then walking for commuters and families and pets. So I still believe that there needs to be some lighting in especially the forested or the new forest area, because that will create an environment. Now that could be either via full height lamps continuing or an alternative of lower pathlight lighting, solar. 1 minute to go. Yep, and we'll flick through this. So where do you get this money to do all this other alternative works? And one of the key things that brought up, not by me, but by someone who uses the park, was a toilet. And I go, for me, I didn't even come on my radar because I live within walking distance of the park. But people who come to the park and bring their children have nowhere to change. And so that was a really unique sort of flag that I thought, is there a local toilet around? And I go, no, there's not. So that could be a major cost at what knows, but could it be self-cleaning and a whole lot of other things. Some ideas up to, any figure you want to pick about. If you want to, where does the money come from? How do you raise it? What do you want? Yep. So I think it'll be about the last. So the results quickly, feedback, increased public use, wider age groups. I think the feedback said yes. Increased in diversity of flora and fauna was definitely a yes. Community ownership and education project to meet the need is my belief. What does that look like? I'm asking for your guidance. What do you want me to do? Or do you want me to go away and be happy because I got my trees? Reduction in CO emissions, feedback was yes when I was talking to people. Yeah, we don't want all the grass mowed, but we still want grass. We still want an area of open play. Reduction in maintenance costs. The feedback is, yeah, why not? That'd be cool. That'd be great. So, low flammability plantings. That's my thing to Toby and his crew. That's where I want to be. So, last slide is, reduction in fires and that sort of thing. So, what I'm interested in is your questions. What do you think? I can't believe we've got in a little over 7 months.
All right. Thank you so much, Bruce. Fantastic. I feel as though, you're a huge advocate and champion for this sort of work, and it just means that spreading the message around these sorts of issues helps, us to, spread what we're passionate about and what staff are passionate about. So thank you so much for all of your work on this. I know we've got a few questions. So David and Sam, I'll go for David first. And then
reiterate Bridget's words of thanks. It's fantastic, the effort, and at times you've sort of indicated thankless or challenging conversations, but well,
that's good.
I'm aware of another organisation that is looking to bring in natives into Christchurch so that the bellbirds and the native birds come in. Have you linked into them as well? Because
Christchurch Foundation.
That might be able to help with some funding, and I can see some nods in the back row there. So
that's over there.
Okay, fantastic. Cool. Well done.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks, David.
So on that regard, I've got my, if you guys support him.
Yeah.
Okay. So to me, it's where do you want me to go from here?
Yeah.
What do you? I've thrown some ideas up. So.
Same.
The other one was just around. So thank you again. That was fantastic. So we have some money allocated around. So when the previous government went through Three Waters, they gave us some money and they haven't taken it back when it's changed.
Okay.
Yeah, which is good for us. So we have got some. So we will spend it. So we have got some money. What would be the and you'll have to remind me of the number of what we've got for that at some stage, Miriam. But what would be some easy runs you can get on the board out in that reserve if we were to put some money towards it?
Well,
what would you like best bang for buck, sort of quickly?
Well, the best bang for buck to me would be the gap within the age group of activities. So the 40K for a play area that allows multiple play types, from ball activities when it's wet. There's a dry area that can go kick a ball around, or that teenager basketball hoop. I go, if I paint some lines on the ground, I'll make a game. And that game could be Foursquare that I used to play as a 5-year-old, or it could be some other activity of some other culture that cultural group will come down and play that cultural game in that area. So it doesn't have to be fixed, it can be flexible. A hard wall, concrete wall, block wall with 2 areas either side of it. On one side, these guys can play something, and on this side, these guys can play something. And it can be done, but all of a sudden you're getting people doing stuff in the environment. The toilet will be, a really, really nice to have, I think, for a small group of people who need that facility. But then it does, what's the cost of that? That's in the hundreds, I would have thought.
So I wonder if you're looking for feedback, I'll be keep progressing stuff, but maybe working with Karen and the team, which I'm sure you probably are.
Not letting her go.
Yeah, because we should try and allocate some of that money if we can.
Yeah, we have money tagged towards the core reserve. It's just working with Karen to identify some kind of tangible projects that we can get stuck into, really.
We have one more question from Suresh.
Yeah, more a comment. It's the second time today that I heard about the native trees. In the morning, one of my colleagues whose house was threatened because of fires, he had to be evacuated, and he told all of us the story about how he got complimented by a fire officer for having the right tree.
Yeah.
And so listening from the fence side as well as from the consumer side, I learned a few things during the day. So compliments to you for raising the flag, and definitely.
We've been pushing this flag since 17 significantly. Okay.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of the board, thank you so much for all of your work. It's incredible. And we'll keep you looped in with Karen to work out on what those next steps are. So I think you're not going anywhere.
Okay.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Bruce. All right. Moving on to.
Question I'd like to ask Bruce about this.
You can do that, but not in the meeting.
Yeah.
You can meet him out there.
No, it's to do with the meeting. Some of the comments he's made, some of us from the board place don't agree with. A lot of the stuff I do agree with Bruce, because I had a long discussion with Bruce on that.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this meeting and the agenda has already been set. And so we would have needed that information from you beforehand to have known that this is something that you'd like to speak at, whether it's public forum or a deputation. But if you do have concerns about this plan, or about some of the comments that Bruce has raised, we can arrange a time for you to come and meet with us and staff to understand what those views are.
And some of us here would like to do that. As I said, a lot of stuff Bruce said has done, I totally agree with. But some of the things, no, I don't. And it's not just me, it's the ones around the area.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for raising that. How about we'll link?
Can we do a public forum?
Yeah. So
You do have the right to speak if you want.
okay. So one of the items we have on our agenda is about the tree planting plan. Are some of the concerns that you have about that? Are they about that specifically?
It's all to do with the Nepal Reserve, and it's the planting. And a lot of the planting, as I said, he and I had a long talk about it. Yeah. And a lot of it I totally agree with.
Well, then how about
Some I don't.
what we can do is we'll backtrack a bit and we can invite you to speak for 5 minutes on the issue for public forum, so we can hear what you have to say, because we are going to be making a decision about it, and we would rather hear what you have to say now than make a decision about it without taking into consideration what your issues or concerns are. So you're welcome to speak now for 5 minutes so we can hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so what's your name?
My name's Don Bradford.
Don, thanks, Don.
I'm at number 9 Nepal Place, and our house was the third house built in the whole Nepal Place area.
You're welcome to take a seat, Don.
Oh, I'll stand for a bit if you don't. But we've been there for about 38 odd years. So we've been right from the start. What Bruce and I talked about, and he showed me his initial report, and I must thank the fire brigade too for the nice sausage rolls they had. Yeah. They were lovely. The top area, up the top of the area, up by the truck stop, that's the area, fully support.
needs a lot of truck planting up through there. Natives would be the right way to go. Just some of the planting down at the bottom end where we are, where it's an open reserve area, no, we don't want a lot of planting down there. Sure, we need planting around the playground areas and shading, totally support that. And they need to be something which you can see in underneath them, because what we don't want at the moment in the poor place, we've had areas, people coming, young ones coming up at the end of the cul-de-sac and drug dealing. And that's been an issue. One of the neighbours right on the corner, he's had security cameras up. He's had them to climb over the fence and take down the security cameras off his house. That's how bad it's getting. Now, yes, we've got to have some place where they can play, or what you said, Bruce, about putting a hard court makes a good idea. But you've got to take into consideration the age group of these ones going in there. Having a toilet, good idea, support that. But it's this planting, which we don't want the whole reserve planted out in trees. It's not necessary, and it would destroy the pleasure that we've seen over 38 odd years with people, young ones in particular, playing in the open fields and all that sort of stuff. And that's what we want to continue to see. We want to see our granddaughters playing there as well. And I think, Graham, I know he's got his own grandchildren. He likes to see them playing there, flying kites, all that sort of stuff. So it's got to be selective. And from a fire point of view, yes, I think what was 3 fires you had up on the top there, Bruce, wasn't it? 5 all up there. Yeah. And some of them, though, have been arsonists?
Yeah, all
arsonists. And they've gone now, haven't they? My impression is they've shifted away from the area.
It's just got quiet at the moment.
So, it's great what he's done, but however, I wouldn't like the council to go charging in and just plant holeless, bolus trees right through the whole park. You would destroy it. Having bellbirds, totally agree, and I think we talked about that tooies and that. I'd love to see them coming down through there. But be careful about what the trees get planted. Come and talk to a lot of the locals then. It's not just me. There's others I've spoken to around the area who also agree with this. Be careful about what's planted. Have a talk, and what you were talking about, who was the other gentleman that was here before? He was talking about a street and the trees growing in it, and the damage that was causing.
Yeah.
We have the same issue in the Ball Place.
Yeah.
So, hey, just think about it carefully before you go charging in and spending all the money there. And the other thing, have you thought about stepping back a bit from it and consulting more with the people in the area who actually look onto the park? And then going ahead and doing it, putting off for 1 year, do it next year.
Sorry, I'm whispering to my colleague only because we actually did have quite a bit of public engagement with this tree planting plan. So we actually went out to Nepal Reserve. And were you there? Yes. Yeah.
I see it.
Oh, great. Very good.
And I had a full set of plans, the whole lot, but unfortunately I've lost them.
That's all right. That's right.
Which was a bit annoying actually, but that was the day of the sausage sizzle on that.
Right, straight.
Well, it went down very well.
Yeah. So again, some of the projects that Bruce raised, whether it was around court related or concrete buildings or paint or toilets, that would all require consultation with impacted residents. So nothing like that would be, we wouldn't go ahead and march through with those sorts of projects. Do you mind being specific around the tree planting plan? So it's a big area. So are you saying that there's, with what's being proposed, do you think there's too many trees that are being planted?
Well, I think the original one that you sent out, when you look at it, the whole thing, and sorry, Bruce, but I've got to say it. He did say that he would love to see the whole reserve done in natives.
Yep.
We can, he's quite open about it. So we had a good discussion.
We had a fantastic discussion, and I totally agree with the new plan.
So do I.
Which takes into account a lot of what you're talking about.
You removed a lot of the stuff, but up the top end by the truck stop, that needs a good dense area there of trees, and that's good. And even coming down a bit more into the main reserve area. But at least leave it at that and have other shading trees around the play areas, definitely, but you've got to be able to see underneath them. So you can see what's going on.
Yeah.
And that was noted, I think, too, in one point Bruce didn't make there. So all I'm saying, I think just a little bit more discussion with some of the local areas, some of the local people around that area. I've been talking to them. I said, are you coming along tonight? And they said, no, but I'm here because I think it's important.
Yeah.
As I said, we've only lived there 38 years and we've seen everything that's been going on and how much people enjoy that whole park and the open spaces.
No, thank you, Don. I see, Sam, do you have a question?
Yeah, and thanks for raising it. It's good to know before we vote on it. I'm just trying to get probably a bit to your point, just a bit more clear on which particular, because then I just noticed that conversation, you said you were happy with the current plan or the revised plan. So I just
I'm talking about the revised one that came out just the other day. This one here where you're taking out some areas.
So you're happy with that?
Well, it looks a lot better. Yes, it does.
Yeah, which is the one you're recommending.
Yes, bringing forward with all those sections taken out and some of the changes.
That's right.
Yeah.
But looking from what we're looking at, we don't want to look out and see a massive trees at the moment.
I guess where I was trying to get to was of the current plan that this council staff are recommending today to us, what bit of it don't you like? Like what's the bit that if we were going to change something?
There's a group of trees, I think you've got. Sure.
Yeah, sorry, I'm really.
Yeah. I know I'm taking it.
No. Don, do you mind?
Those ones. Okay. Yep. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
We can
That's great.
If I could talk to someone from the council here and we could have a yarn about it.
So we're actually going to be talking on this topic when it comes to the board for, I believe it's item 9 next, right up. So we're just really conscious about making sure that we keep to process and time. Don, I'm really sorry, but the 5 minutes that we have given you is up, but we've heard your concerns and your issues.
That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
There is a concern there.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Have to sit down and have a yarn to something.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So that brings us to item 9. And hi, Toby.
Hey, I'm going to turn this on and hopefully, it stays on mute. Cool.
No.
Can you keep me on mute? Because I don't know how to mute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. It was saying I was muted. Oh, well. Right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm going to share my screen. Zoom. Here we go. Cool. I'm going to race through this presentation because I'm due in 2 locations at the same time. I'll make sure we spend time on the important parts. So I'm here to talk about Tralee Reserve and Nepal Reserve as part of the Urban Forest Planting Program. The Urban Forest Planting Program is a program that was set up after the adoption of the Urban Forest Plan. It focuses on increasing canopy across the city, with a particular focus on increasing canopy within our parks up to 40%, providing a network of native forests across the city for attracting birds and things, increasing the visibility of Indigenous species, and planting trees in sites where they can reach maturity. In the past, when we've planted, we haven't always made the best decisions. I think everyone can agree on that. We've got some historic issues. So we've looked at those historic issues and we're trying to make sure we plan better. We're trying to address some of the concerns that come up with the existing trees to make sure that as we increase our planting, we don't have those going forward. So we're using things like recession planning to manage shading, the same rules for building. We're using offsets from footpaths to avoid damage. We're having boundary offsets for all of our trees to ensure that their growth doesn't encroach over the boundaries, so they're always set back far enough that their mature canopy won't go across. We look at the existing use of the park and try and incorporate trees into that. Location of underground services to avoid damage there. Looking at future plans for the park, so some park where there's a playground where we know that it won't be able to stay there in future, so making sure that we don't take away those positions going forward. The distribution of Indigenous forest around for creating that network of forests, and also when we're planting along the waterways, to increase planting along those edges to shade waterways and improve the health of those waterways. So consultation for the plans. So consultation for these sets of plans went out on the 15th of December and we're out to the 1st of February. We sent emails to 86 stakeholders. Tralee Reserve had 130 views on its page. Nepal Reserve got 275. There was a Newsline article, Facebook. We also delivered flyers to all of the neighbouring properties. So they all got a flyer telling them about it. And then we had signage placed all around the parks so people could see the plans, because we wanted to reach as many people as we could. Sorry, this image isn't particularly good, but Tralee Reserve, I think, is fairly straightforward as far as the feedback we got. We are proposing to plant 11 trees in there. We'll be increasing the canopy from 37 to 61%. We received 9 individual submissions. 8 of them were very supportive of the plan. The main concern around Tralee was silver birches and not wanting us to plant more, which is fine. We won't be planting silver birches in there anyway, and an encouragement for more natives. So, and that's what we're doing. This is an example of, so down here, there's a playground. When we put in playgrounds, we can't have them within 10 metres of a boundary without getting select permission from their owner now. It must have been a change in the plans since these plans were done. So when we come to a park where there's a playground within 10 metres of the boundary, we know when that playground is renewed, they'll likely move it. So that's why there's quite a big section that hasn't got any trees, because we're acknowledging that it's likely to move up there, and then we can look at replanting that area down there. Nepal Reserve, I think this is probably the more interesting one. We're proposing 83 new trees and approximately 10,120 square metres of forest planting. That will increase the canopy cover in this area from 8% to 38%. And we will be incorporating this park into what we're calling our forest patch network. I think it's a working title. Anthony Shabot's probably got something that sounds a bit better. So feedback for the reserve, we had 22 individual submissions. There's a community event which you heard about. Thank you, Bruce, for helping with that, which helped us to socialise the plan further. There was a little bit of a hiccup at the time that we were all heading out. There was a fire alarm, which is actually kind of ironic since we were going to a Fens thing. Fire alarm at Civic, so we couldn't take any of the plans with us, but we still managed to get the idea and talk to everyone about it. The feedback for it was mixed. So we got some positive, we got some concerns. And as you heard, some of the concerns there were around the loss of open space, which we'll talk about soon. And we've tried to take that on board, so we've made some changes to the plan. The contrast was quite different when you looked at people who lived near the park, or lived next to the park versus people who live near and use the park. So changes to the plan. So we've extended the forest planting up here as to increase the buffer from the noise of the commercial area. We've removed a set of trees. Oh, my mouse not working. Down there, circled in red. So that's to increase that open space. So I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name, but the gentleman there, the trees he was talking about, if we can see my mouse, were some of these. Yeah, yep, which we can certainly look at extending that open area there further, which is not a problem at all. Tree sizes were increased for shading around the playground area. And we also added some additional trees because it came up that people wanted more trees around the playground area on the other side as well. Now, all the trees there are large. They're all specimen tree planting with the intention of being lifted. So you've just got a stem, so to keep that visibility of that native area. And we maintain the trees on a regular basis to keep those view lines through. So this is the change to the plan now. So you'll see there's a little more tree up at the top. Around the playground, we've got some more canopy, and then we've cleared those trees south of that pump track. Like I said, there's no reason why we couldn't increase that further along. This is a massive park, so that open space there is still quite significant in comparison to other parks, but also, you know, like I say, those changes aren't an issue at all. With the current changes there, we're looking at 9 new specimen trees, 10,611 square metres of forest, and a canopy increase from 8 to 38%. This park is also function as a detention basin and a first flush. So following this, we do have to engage more with our Three Waters team to look at the design. So there may be some slight changes around species, the arrangement of things. It'll be fairly minor in the sense of you'll still get the overall view of it. But we do have to take account of the actual functionality of the space and ensure that what we plant doesn't jeopardise any of that. So from here, if the plans are approved, we will proceed with starting to order trees. We'll be working with the Three Waters team to finalise design. Planting will be completed over a number of years. Frankly, we don't have the trees to just rush in there and do it straight away. So we will have to build up some of that stock for trees. There's conditioning for the soil, so mulching, killing off grass and things like that. So it's not going to happen immediately, but we'll start to see things happen over the next few years, and eventually we'll get it planted. The planting will be carried out through our internal tree team. It is funded through that Better Off funding, but we know there are other avenues for funding or assistance. And then we will also be utilising things like planting days to try and get the community and locals involved in the planting as well.
All right. Thank you, Toby. I'm conscious of your time. Does anyone have any questions for Toby on this matter? Trish.
Fruit trees, have they been considered?
Fruit trees is an interesting one. Fruit trees are great.
I went to the food forest at Kaipoi, which is built on the red zone there yesterday.
Yep.
And the gentleman there told us about the history and how it has grown to become a community asset.
Yeah.
So I thought I would mention it here.
And it's a very good point. We do often get requests for fruit trees, and throughout these plans we have had some requests. Don't recall many coming for this reserve in particular. There's stronger requests for some of the others. When it comes to fruit trees, we generally need a community group or someone to own that kind of project. Fruit trees are great when you've got a community or a group engaged with them. What sometimes happens if you don't have that is the trees get planted. One, nobody picks or does anything with the fruit, so it just drops and starts to die. The other thing is fruit trees have been bred over time to focus on nothing but fruit. So they're prone to pests and diseases and things. And if they're not cared for and looked after, we actually end up creating a host for a lot of these pests and diseases, which is actually has more of a negative impact on the neighbouring properties who do have their fruit trees. So it's something we have to be fairly careful about and make sure that they are managed. So in this particular park, we haven't looked at it. It doesn't mean to say that we couldn't look at it going forward, or we couldn't swap something out if a group came forward with a good case for it.
And I think it's a valid point about the community owning it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Toby. So anyone else have any questions for because basically the plan is in front of us with the amendments. And it's great that that you've considered the feedback that's gone into it, and the engagement and consultation has been extensive to the point where I just want to commend you guys for breaking up all that detail. That was really helpful to read. Thanks for that. Don, who raised the point around wanting to have more trees, what would be the process for us if we wanted to make like that little an amendment there? Or, sorry, less trees, less trees. What would be the process of that?
Good question. I would say put in your amendment, reduce the density of trees to the west of the pump track, bike pump track. That was that area.
At the end of
the place. Yeah, so around where the playground, reduce the density around the playground.
No, it's more just, it's in that area, where the existing cycle
Yeah,
back over towards the
Yeah.
east part.
yeah, so reduce the density to the west potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can do that. I'm happy to work alongside. I mean, we've gone into other parks. For example, we went to one park and we had the property owner come out and go, that tree's going to be directly in my view. So we just didn't plant the tree. But we're not there to try and create problems. So, yeah.
That's great. So while we might move the plan, you're still going to be liaising with residents who are impacted.
If someone came, yeah. So we can certainly have a chat and we can make those adjustments even with the plan approved. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Let's do that then.
Yeah?
Yep. Move it.
Okay,
Yep.
great. So did you have a question?
No.
No? Okay, so there was Sam to move
Happy to second.
and then Shresh to second. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Carried. Great. Thank you so much, Toby, for all your work on that.
No problem.
Great. All right, and then it brings us to, we're jumping back a bit to item 7 for the proposed road name. And we have- oh, hold on. Do we have?
I'm happy to second. It's
Oh,
pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So, second that.
Okay, that's great. So that was Aaron to move.
Yep.
And then James to second.
Yep.
Great names.
All those, agree. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No, carried, which takes us to item number 8 for bus stop upgrades. And who do we have? Lansua here. Kia ora.
And
Is it the trees?
yeah,
I'm happy to move them.
What is it? You want to add?
yeah, and I'm.
Do a report?
Any question? Good report.
Yeah. No, okay, all right. So that was Sam to move.
Yep.
And Jason to second.
I've got it.
Great, all those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No, carried, great. Thank you, thanks for all your work on that.
Oh, it's a good report.
It was great.
We'll find you a hard one next time.
Thanks for your patience.
All right, and then that takes us to item 10 for the community board area report, which is for Marianne to take us through.
Thanks, Bridget. Happy to take it as read, just highlighting some great things, including the Nepal Reserve community engagement that you've heard a bit about today. And a huge thanks to Bruce and Fens for putting on the sausage sizzle and sort of taking the lead. And also, of course, Culture Galore and how successful that was. So I'm happy to take questions, but I would ask Aidan if he would just speak to the proposed resolution around the bus stop.
Yes, so James brought this up. It's just a suggestion that we put in a review period around the decision we made at our last meeting about the bus stops on Carlton Mill Road. So I've just suggested a proposed resolution that requests a monitoring period with the final report back no later than March 2025.
Yep. So I think that just captures, the essence of what we were talking about. Nothing's necessarily set in stone. If it's problematic, then, the board can be dynamic and adjust accordingly. But otherwise, all good. So thanks for your help on that, Aidan. No problem.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Do we have to move that separately or do we move that to collectively? Great.
Okay.
Any questions for Marianne or the board report? No? Great. You would just want to say, right under staff for Culture Galore. Amazing effort as always. Okay, well, would someone like to move item 10?
Very good.
Thank you, David. And James to second. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Any against? No, carried, which brings us to item 11 for elected members information exchange. Yes.
I caught up with the Northwood Residents Association with Natalie. Might have been a week or two ago, and we sat down and ran through the Better Off funding and some of the projects and just the approach that we want to take with cleaning up the monuments and a couple of the ideas in the nature play area down there at Northwood Reserve.
Inglefield.
Inglefield Reserve, yeah, not Northwood Reserve, sorry. And yeah, and it was really positive, and they're just really stoked with the progress that we've been making in that regard, and the opportunity to get the big ones cleaned, and then some of the small ones they're painted, repainted as well. So no, that was really cool. Just wanted to give you guys an update on that.
Thanks, Jason. Yes, Trish.
Quick one, I attended as a member of the community, the opening of what was the Newborn Center at Hagley Park, which is now a multicultural center, which has been work between the council and a trust. Great event, so many communities involved. The mayor opened it, it's for Newsline. And I think it's a new style of project where the council actually ran the project for it to happen, and the trust got formed, and now the trust will run it. So nice facility for the city. So good event. Jimmy Chen is on the trust there.
There was one other one as well. So actually, reached out to the local MP, Matt Dosey, as well, just around the proposed railway crossings and challenges we've got there with Kiwi Rail. So he just suggested that we try and tee up a meeting with himself and Kiwi Rail and some council staff at some stage in the near future when calendars align, to see if we can have a bit of a site visit and have a chat, and then kind of he will be able to work with Kiwi Rail and see what we can do to try and progress that there, to either get the overbridge and or the crossing at Ratcliffe Road sorted out. So that was positive.
Great. Awesome. The only thing I have to share is just two awesome events that happened. One put on by the Styx Living Laboratory Trust for Summer at the Styx. And then there was also the event that happened at Belfast. I've forgotten the name of the event, but it was put together by Linda and the team, and it was fantastic. Two events on the same day. So it kind of fresh. Yes, fresh. It was awesome. It was such a cool event. They had stone carving, and they had like a free barber shop, which is run by young people who have I think been basically coming through prison and essentially giving them fantastic life skills and upskilling them. And yeah, a great event, just blown away by it. But they're both on the same day, so they're kind of fighting for community audience. So good. Yeah. All right. If there's nothing else, then we will stand for the final karakia.